The Millionaire's shocking rescue of an orphan girl left on the highway by her stepmom. The storm was brutal. Thunder cracked the sky like a warning, and rain pounded the slick asphalt in heavy sheets. Alexander Calder's expensive black SUV skidded slightly as he gripped the wheel tighter, eyes sharp against the blur of headlights and water. He wasn't a man who noticed much outside his own world, a world of glass towers and high stakes. But something pulled him toward the shoulder of the deserted highway. There, barely visible through the downpour, was a small figure shaking and shivering, soaked to the bone. A girl, no older than 10. Her wide eyes were locked on the endless dark road behind her, and her thin clothes clung to her tiny frame like prison bars. Alexander's chest tightened, a knot of something he didn't expect. Compassion? Fear? It hit hard, like a blast to the ribs. He jumped out, leather shoes sinking into mud, and called her name gently. "Hey, are you okay?" His voice barely carried over the storm, but the girl flinched, then took a cautious step forward. Her name was Lily, she whispered, voice trembling like dry leaves in the wind. She told him a broken, whispered story. A cruel stepmother, a midnight drive, a cold drop-off far from any home. Alexander scanned the misty highway for any sign of the woman, but the road swallowed her whole. His gut twisted. Who abandons a child in a place like this? Who could be so heartless? He didn't hesitate. Lifting Lily up, he wrapped her in his coat, her small body stiff against his chest. Her ragged breathing mixed with the storm's roar. He felt the roughness in her hands, the wet hair plastered against her face. There was nothing innocent about this night, but her scared, fragile presence cracked something inside him. Driving back through the lightning-split sky, Alexander's mind raced. His mansion, a glittering fortress of solitude, wasn't used to company, especially not someone like Lily. But as the dark silhouette of his estate rose behind the rain, something told him this was more than a rescue. It was a beginning. Inside, the fire flickered, shadows dancing on cold marble walls. Lily clung quietly to a velvet chair, eyes wide and unsure, while Alexander poured hot tea, hands trembling just a bit. Years of betrayal and loss had trained his heart to shut down, but her small hands reaching for his jarred something loose. A raw ache, sharp and urgent. But peace was deceptive. Across town, a furious woman seethed in her sleek car, the stepmother. Her lips curled in fury, eyes burning with cold calculation. Lily was a pawn, a key to a vast hidden fortune nobody had dared mention yet. That truth simmered beneath the surface like a dangerous storm, and somewhere, hidden in the dark corners of the mansion's sprawling grounds, a shadow watched, a silent figure, waiting for the perfect moment to move. One wrong step, and everything would erupt. Alexander and Lily faced enemies from outside and demons within, tangled histories that refused to rest. Could two broken souls build something real? Or would the past rip them apart before they even had a chance? The night closed in, the storm still howling, and the clock was ticking. Hey, before you continue with this incredible story, I have an important warning for you. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content. And while you're there, Leave that powerful like. It helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love meeting all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes a difference. Let's interact. Inside the sprawling mansion, the flickering firelight danced around the room, casting shadows that seemed alive. Lily nestled deeper into her chair, the warmth slowly creeping into her bones. Alexander handed her the steaming cup of tea, watching as her small, delicate hands gripped the mug. For a moment, everything felt peaceful, fading echoes of the storm outside. But the calm was short-lived. A loud crash echoed from the entrance hall, silencing the soft whispers of the wind outside. Alexander's heart raced, a tightness gripping his chest. He exchanged a glance with Lily, her innocent eyes wide with fear. "Stay here," he instructed, trying to sound steady. But his voice betrayed him, a tremor weaving through the command. He moved towards the door, footsteps heavy on the marble floor. Each echo felt ominous, pulling him deeper into a foreboding silence. As he reached the entrance, the front door swung open with a rush, slamming against the wall. Rain poured in, creating a curtain of chaos. But standing in the doorway was a figure he didn't expect. It was her. His pulse quickened as the fury radiated from Marissa, Lily's stepmother. She was drenched, hair plastered against her face, eyes wild with rage, and something else. Desperation? "You," she spat out, taking a step forward. "You have no right to take her." "Marissa," Alexander began, but the weight of her words crushed any chance of calm. "I've come for what's mine," she shouted. In an instant, the atmosphere shifted, a dangerous energy crackling in the air. Lily stared, confusion clouding her features as she clutched the tea mug like a lifeline. Then, as if he asked, voice low but steady, trying to mask the terror spiraling inside him, "She's a child of destiny, an heir to something bigger than you know. Keep her, and you're both doomed." His breath froze. Each word felt like a knife, cutting through the air thick with tension. He looked at Lily, realizing in that moment she was more than an orphan. The secrets tucked inside her were heavy, layered with hints of a hidden life and danger. "Let's go, Lily," he urged, pulling her protectively toward him. But in that instant, something flickered in the depths of her eyes, a flash of recognition. She turned to Marissa, her voice softer, almost pleading. "Mom, is it true?" Alexander's gaze volleyed between Marissa and Lily, the pieces crashing together like thunder after lightning. The storm outside grew faster, louder. What did she mean? An heir? Why was Marissa so frantic? Marissa stepped closer, the gun steady in her grip, her eyes glistening with unshed tears of anger and desperation. "She can't stay with you. You'll ruin everything. You don't even know her true potential." Suddenly, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the room, casting eerie shadows on the walls. They all flinched, and in that moment, something in the air shifted. It felt like the start of a whirlwind, a spiraling chaos that threatened to unravel everything. And as Alexander tried to grasp the words forming in his mind, a plan, a way to protect Lily, the gun fired unexpectedly, a deafening noise that shattered the fragile moment, leaving behind only a heavy silence thick with impending dread. Had Lily's true nature just awakened? Was Marissa right about her being part of something monumental? What had just happened? The questions slammed into him, like the rain outside, and in the silence that followed, all he could feel was the echoes of that gunshot, resonating in his heart, leaving an unsettling question lingering in the air. What was Lily really meant to be? The deafening crack of the gunshot echoed in the room, stealing the breath from their lungs. Alexander's heart slammed against his chest, a wave of shock washing over him. He turned to Lily, her eyes wide with confusion and fear, but she didn't seem hurt. The bullet had narrowly missed her. Marissa's face twisted with rage and desperation. "You don't understand," she yelled, her voice laced with panic. "You think you can just take her? She's not just your average child." But before Alexander could respond, the temperature in the room dropped. A sudden gust of wind swept through the open door, extinguishing the fire and plunging them into darkness. The shadows seemed to stretch and twist, and with them came a low, rumbling growl that echoed through the hallway. Alexander grabbed Lily's arm, pulling her close. "Get down," he commanded, adrenaline surging through him. But as they crouched in fear, a piercing light flooded the entrance. They shielded their eyes against the brilliance, heartbeats racing in time with the looming threat. And in that moment, a figure emerged, cloaked in light, an ethereal presence, radiant and overwhelming. "Lily," it said, the voice echoing with ancient power, "you are needed." The air crackled with energy, as if the very fabric of reality was stretching. Alexander felt the ground beneath him tremble. He'd never experienced anything like it, and a shiver crawled down his spine. He shifted protectively in front of Lily, instinctively wanting to shield her from whatever horror was unfolding. "What are you?" Alexander demanded, fear and confusion mixing in his voice. Who are you?" "I am a guardian," came the calm reply, almost too soft against the storm outside. "Lily is destined for greatness, but there are those who seek to manipulate her for their own ambitions." Marissa recoiled, clutching the gun tighter, her wild eyes darting between the figure and her daughter. "No, you don't know what she is. You can't take her away." Her voice broke with desperation, but the guardian only tilted its head, serene yet otherworldly. "Take her? No, her path is her own, but to claim her destiny, she must break free from the chains of your past." At that, Lily looked up, wide-eyed and trembling. She hesitated, caught in a web of fear and possibility. "Chains?" she whispered, her voice small. Then came the revelation, heavy as the storm. The guardian raised a hand, and as it did, memories began to surface in a whirlwind around them, frantic images swirling like leaves in a tempest. Alexander saw glimpses of Lily's life, shadows of a lavish home filled with secrets, hushed voices speaking of power, wealth, everything Marissa had sought to keep hidden. Suddenly, Alexander realized this wasn't just about protecting Lily. Her true nature was intertwined with something much larger than any of them, a legacy that left them all vulnerable. His head spun with questions, fear tightening like a vice around his chest. What is she really? The guardian looked directly at Lily, encouraging her. "You must choose who you want to be. The past is not your future, but it will always follow." Before Alexander could utter a word, a blinding flash of light erupted from Lily, sending shock waves through the room. The energy pulsed, vibrating against his skin, leaving him staggering back. A deep, consuming fear swallowed him whole, and just like that, Lily was no longer the trembling child he found by the road. She stood transformed, a figure radiant with power, a presence he could hardly comprehend. In that electrifying moment, everything shifted. "Lily?" he called, confusion flooding his senses. "What are you doing?" With an intensity that shook the very foundation of the mansion, she looked deep into his eyes, bridging a connection that felt ancient and profound. "I am not just an orphan. I'm everything. And I'm ready." As the chaos swirled around them, Alexander's heart raced. Had he just discovered the truth behind Lily's existence? What did her awakening mean for them? Both. Everything hung in the balance, and more questions loomed in the heavy air. What was next? What would happen now? Lily stood there, her whole being radiating a light that filled the room. Her transformation was breathtaking, yet terrifying, and Alexander felt a deep swell of protectiveness surge within him. "What are you doing?" he gasped again, but Lily only smiled. Not the frightened smile of a child, but the serene, knowing smile of someone who had crossed into another realm. "Mom," she said, looking at Marissa, "you kept me from this, from who I really am." In that moment, Marissa's face twisted from fear to simmering rage. "No, this isn't how it's supposed to be," she shrieked, her voice echoing against the walls, trembling with a combination of fury and despair. "You're mine. You need to understand your lineage, your power." But while Marissa screamed, Lily's glow only intensified, a beacon of hope against the tumultuous storm outside. Alexander could feel the energy pulsing around them, heavy with implications that made his heart race. Something monumental was about to happen, but he couldn't wrap his mind around the enormity of it. Then, a sound like thunder rolled through the mansion, not from the storm outside, but from deep within the earth itself. The ground beneath them shook violently. Alexander's heart dropped, and he stumbled, holding on to the banister for support, while Lily stood firm, unfazed. "Lily!" he yelled, panic rising in his throat. "Get back!" But she didn't move. Instead, she raised her hands, and a swirling vortex of shimmering light erupted, spiraling toward the ceiling. Everything began to tremble and crack, debris raining down as cracks appeared in the walls. Shadows danced as the storm howled outside, whipping through the open door like a wild beast. Suddenly, with a burst of energy that made the air crackle, a shadow, dark and ominous, shot out from the vortex. It took form, becoming a figure cloaked in shadows, its eyes glowing fiercely like embers. "You dare defy me?" it growled, a voice that felt like knives against Alexander's psyche. Marissa's eyes widened in disbelief. "I didn't know. It can't be you," she gasped. Alexander felt a chill run through him as he realized this wasn't just a threat. This was a presence from Lily's past. "You betrayed me, Larissa," the dark figure hissed, advancing with a malevolent grace. "You sought to contain her power for your own gain." Lily gasped, her glow flickering as fear clouded her eyes. "What are you?" she cried, grounding herself in the chaos swirling around them. "I am your true destiny," it replied, its voice echoing with a dark authority. "And you are destined to reclaim what is rightfully yours. You do not need these weaklings holding you back." The air electrified, and Alexander felt the heat of dread surge through him. "Stay back!" he yelled, but his voice felt like a whisper in a storm. He grasped for Lily's hand, trying to draw her back to him, trying to shield her from this terrifying force. But then, like a wave crashing against a shore, the darkness enveloped him, wrapping around him with a pressure that stole his breath. His vision darkened, and he fell to his knees, the icy grip tightening around his heart. As things blurred, he heard Lily scream, "No, I won't let you take me." Then the light burst forth once again, brighter than before. It surged like a tide, sweeping away the dark figure momentarily. But in that flickering moment, Alexander saw Marissa's face twist in a way he had never seen, a terrible mixture of fear and triumph. And then everything shattered. He could hear nothing but a deafening silence, the tension snapping like a taut wire. When the light dimmed again, both Marissa and the dark figure were gone, leaving only shadows where once stood their formidable power. Breathless, Alexander struggled to his feet, his heart pounding. "Lily, are you okay?" he called, eyes scanning frantically for her. But as he turned, the room was empty. His stomach dropped. Where had she gone? What had just happened? The mansion groaned under the weight of silence, a hollow shell filled with unanswered questions. What truth had slipped through his fingers? What had Lily become? And was the darkness truly defeated? The storm outside raged on, mirroring the chaos in his heart. Time felt frozen as he stood alone, grappling with the terrifying unknown that had just fractured their fragile new life. The silence wrapped around him like a suffocating blanket. Alexander blinked into the dark, heart pounding in his chest. "Lily!" he called again. But the empty room echoed back, mocking his fear. Where was she? Panic surged, a tidal wave of dread crashing through him. He took a step forward, mind racing. The storm outside roared like an angry beast, but inside, it felt as if the world had paused. Every shadow seemed to mock him, every noise amplified in the stillness. He felt unmoored, as if he were adrift in a stormy sea. Just moments ago, everything had spiraled into chaos. "Lily!" His voice cracked, the raw edge cutting through the dark. He forced his feet to move, looking around, searching for any sign of her small figure. Suddenly, from the corner of his eye, a flicker of light caught his attention. He turned, heart racing, and saw a faint glow coming from behind the grand staircase. The flickering light pulsed like a heartbeat. He followed it, every instinct screaming at him to run, to escape, but he couldn't leave Lily behind. As he neared the staircase, the glow brightened, illuminating a small space that felt almost otherworldly. A doorway, hidden from plain sight, shimmered like a mirage. A sense of urgency propelled him forward, and he reached out to touch the cool, ethereal surface. "Lily!" he shouted one last time, his voice desperate. With a sudden rush, the door swung open. The light poured out, illuminating everything in its path. Fear and hope battled inside him as he hesitated on the threshold. But then he stepped through, heart racing. Inside, his breath caught. The room was dazzling, filled with swirling colors and shapes that defied logic. But what struck him most was Lily, standing in the center, radiating a brilliance that eclipsed everything. She was more than just a child. She glowed with an energy so pure, it was like staring at the sun. "Lily," he breathed, both awe and terror washing over him. Could it really be her? But as he reached for her, something shifted. A shadow loomed behind her, growing larger and darker. a presence so menacing that it made his skin crawl. "You think you can keep her?" it hissed, the voice cold as ice. "You don't understand her power." The dark figure took shape, revealing a man cloaked in darkness, eyes burning like embers. "I am her true progenitor," he declared, and Alexander's heart dropped. "No," he whispered, disbelief flooding his senses. "That can't be true. She's just a little girl." The figure laughed, a sound that shattered the silence like glass breaking. "A little girl? No, she is so much more. You have no idea what she's destined for. All this time, the woman you claim to protect, Marissa, she was never the true barrier. I am her true origin." Panic coursed through Alexander. He shot a glance back at Lily, who stood frozen, eyes wide. The light flickered, an ominous warning pulsing with her heartbeat. "Lily, listen to me," he cried, desperation clawing at his throat. "You don't have to listen to him." But before she could respond, a tremor shook the ground underneath them. The room began to crack, the walls swirling with darkness. The man stepped closer, almost touching her now. "Join me, Lily. Embrace what you were meant to be." "No!" Alexander yelled, the pain of panic gripping him tightly. "Lily, remember who you are." That's when it happened. With fierce determination, Lily raised her arms, and a blinding light erupted from her. Time froze. The searing brightness engulfed everything, and for a heartbeat, the world stood still. Then an ear-splitting explosion rocked the foundation. Alexander shielded his eyes, driven back by the force of it. The rush of power swept through him, the darkness raging as they fought against it. But what he never expected was the sound of laughter, soft, cold, and familiar. He turned, eyes wide with realization. It was Marissa, standing outside the doorway, her figure bathed in the swirling chaos. "Did you really think I wouldn't find a way back?" she purred, her expression twisted with triumph. In that moment, everything shattered, the very ground beneath him crumbling. She had been manipulating the entire landscape, setting this all in motion. "What are you?" he breathed, rage bubbling beneath the surface. But her eyes sparkled with madness as the light enveloped her too. "You're too late, Alexander. You never understood. This was always part of the plan. The real plan." In the midst of the swirling chaos, Lily hesitated, torn between darkness and light. And as Alexander reached out for her, screaming her name, the reality of it all pierced through him like ice. Nothing would ever be the same again. The silence fractured like fragile glass. Alexander felt a jolt of panic surge through him at the sight of Lily standing there, caught between light and shadow. A chill raced up his spine as the dark figure came closer, the malevolence in its gaze sending a shiver through the room. "Lily!" he shouted, heart racing, but her attention was fixed on the darkness, drawn to it like a moth to a flame. "Join me," the figure breathed, voice smooth and venomous. "Just imagine the power you could wield. Your mother tried to hide this from you, but it's your birthright." "No!" Alexander yelled, fighting the grasp of fear. He lunged forward, desperate to reach her before it was too late. But then, everything changed in an instant. Marissa's laughter filled the room, wild and knowing. "You don't get it, do you?" she sneered, stepping closer to the chaos. "You thought you could protect her? But she belongs with him, with her true family." The darkness shimmered, And suddenly, a blinding light erupted from Lily. Alexander squinted, shielding his eyes. The brilliance pushed the darkness back. But then, a crack split through the air, like thunder breaking the night sky. "Lily!" he cried, but his words were swallowed by the fury that unfolded. In that heart-stopping moment, the light faded, revealing an astonishing scene. The dark presence shrank back as Lily's form wavered. Standing between them now was not just a little girl, but a woman, a reflection of potential realized. Her features sharpened, confidence radiating from her. "Do you feel it?" she asked quietly, the power in her voice sending tremors through the room. "All this time, I thought I was just an orphan." Marissa's eyes widened with betrayal. "No, you're meant to be mine. I raised you. I sacrificed everything for you." Lily's expression hardened, as if scales had fallen from her eyes. "You raised me to be a pawn, not a daughter. But I'm done being your weapon." Then, with a flick of her wrist, the room shifted, like the world turned upside down. A rush of energy surged through the space, sweeping Alexander off his feet. He landed hard, breath knocked out of him. When he looked up again, the dark figure was receding, shrinking back into the shadows. "This isn't over, Lily," it hissed, losing its grip on her power. "You can't escape what you are." In the chaos, the truth struck Alexander like a lightning bolt. The real connection between Lily and the darkness wasn't just a threat. It was part of something much more profound. Her power came from bloodlines, but which blood ran true? As the winds howled outside, casting gales that rattled the mansion walls, Lily stood radiantly defiant. "I'm not afraid of you anymore," she declared, and Alexander's heart swelled with pride. But just as relief washed over him, a horrifying twist unfurled. The room quaked, and from the crack of the wooden flooring, a figure emerged. Not one he expected. His own father, ghostly and weathered by time, stepped into the light. "Lily, my dear," the apparition intoned, voice like gravel, "I've been waiting for you. There's so much more you need to know. About why you were hidden, about your lineage." Shock froze Alexander in place. His father? Here? This was all too much. Lily's radiant presence flickered in confusion and fear, caught in a web of revelations. "Dad?" he managed to choke out, his head swirling. "But how? You've been gone." "Because I kept secrets to protect you. Shadows loom larger than you realize," his father replied, eyes locking onto Lily with an intensity that chilled him. He could see the fractures forming in their world, relationships tearing apart at the seams, secrets unfolded like dark petals in the storm's aftermath. The truth was unraveling, and as Alexander stumbled through this shifting reality, one undeniable question emerged in the heavy air. Who was really fated to inherit the darkness, and who would be forced to bear the consequences? The air hung thick with tension, bodies flickering between light and shadow. As Alexander struggled to grasp the enormity of the moment, his father stood there, spectral yet commanding, his words echoing with ancient secrets. "You need to know why you were hidden," he urged, his gaze locked on Lily, who still shimmered in her newfound power. But before Alexander could process his father's revelation, an earth-shattering rattle shook the room. The walls trembled and cracked. He stepped back. With a sudden rush, the darkness roared forward, tendrils reaching out for Lily. Just as it seemed it would consume her whole, she let out a fierce cry. "No, I know who I am!" The surge of light pulsed from her, driving the shadows back, but it also illuminated a hidden truth, one that sent chills racing down Alexander's spine. His father staggered, hands balled into fists, the air stilled for a breath. The tension stretched like a taut string, poised to snap. "You shouldn't have come here," he hissed. "You were never supposed to see this." "What do you mean?" Alexander gasped, confusion colliding with fear. Then Lily shuddered, a shadow passing over her features, as if she were caught in a storm. "Wait," she stammered. "What are you talking about?" A flicker of panic crossed her face, and Alexander's heart sank as he realized something was shifting within her, a conflict brewing beneath that radiant surface. "Your mother, she was hiding something," his father continued, each word a bullet aimed at Alexander's heart. "She needed to shield you from the truth of your powers. But now, the balance is threatened." Lily faltered, doubt creeping into her eyes. "Balance? Powers? What's going on?" Marissa's voice suddenly pierced through the chaos. "You don't get it, dear," she shrieked, her expression a map of rage. "You belong to the legacy of darkness, and everything you've been taught is a lie." Alexander's blood ran cold. He grasped Lily's shoulders, trying to anchor her. "No, you are more than this. You have the strength in you to break away." But just then, the room shook violently, and the darkness surged. A blinding flash of light shot through the air, marking the arrival of a new figure. Yet this one wasn't cloaked in shadows. It was a woman with radiant skin and vibrant eyes, an unmistakable aura of authority pulsing around her. "Enough!" she declared, her voice booming, shaking the very foundations of the mansion. "I am the one who will reveal the truth you've all sought to bury." Everyone froze, even the dark figure. It turned its burning gaze on her, and for the first time, the menacing force seemed uncertain. Then she stepped closer to Lily, eyes softening. "You're not just a child of darkness. You're a beacon of light. You are the key to a destiny that could alter everything." The very walls seemed to breathe, and for a moment the air lightened. But then the shadow recoiled, a howl ripping through the space. "You think you can protect her? You have no idea what you've unleashed." Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled violently, sending them sprawling. Just as Alexander reached out to Lily, a piercing scream erupted from her. "Mom, why didn't you tell me?" In that instant, reality shattered. Marissa staggered back, her mouth forming silent words, fear crashing over her like the storm outside. "You don't understand, Lily," she cried, clutching her head. "I wasn't trying to hurt you." Alexander felt the weight of betrayal press against him, as layers of veiled lies collapsed. "What are you hiding?" he demanded, pain coursing through his voice. But then the earth cracked, erupting into chaos as light and dark swirled together, revealing a heart-wrenching twist that sent ripples of shock through everyone's hearts. The woman lifted her hands, and the ground erupted beneath them. In the chaos, they all fell, and as Alexander hit the ground hard, he heard Lily's voice echo in his mind. "You were meant to know the truth about who I really am." Darkness engulfed them all, and with a jolt, he realized everything he thought was true could turn out to be a devastating lie. What was Lily's true nature? What legacy had been hidden from them all? the shadows merged into a single powerful entity, and as a desperate cry escaped his lips, he understood they were standing on the brink of an uncertainty that could redefine their destinies forever. Would the truth bring them together or tear them apart? The chaos intensified, and Alexander struggled to catch his breath. The room pulsed with a blend of light and darkness, a chaotic dance that mirrored the storm outside. He could feel the ground shake beneath him as the shadows writhed, feeding off the emotions swirling in the air. "Lily!" he shouted again, desperation tightening around his chest. He reached out, but the blinding light flickered, creating images that danced around them. Memories, thoughts, and connections shattered like glass. And then it happened. Amidst the swirl of light, reality twisted. A figure shifted at the edge of the luminous vortex, stepping forward with surprising clarity. It was a woman, her face pale but beautiful, with familiar features that cut through the haze like a beacon. Alexander's heart raced as recognition swept over him. It was his mother. "Mom?" The word slipped out before he had a chance to understand. How could she be here? "Alexander?" Her voice was soft, yet firm, resonating with power. "You must understand. The truth is deeper than you realize." Before he could respond, she continued with urgency. "Lily is not just an orphan. She's a descendant of our line, yes, but—" She hesitated, glancing nervously at Marissa. "There's something more. She is neither light nor dark. She embodies both." A piercing scream erupted from Marissa. "No! You're lying!" Her hands trembled, the shadows swirling around her like a living entity. "You're just trying to take her from me again." "Take her?" Alexander shook with disbelief. "What did you hide from me?" His mother's eyes glistened with unshed tears, her anguish palpable. "I didn't mean to keep it secret. We thought it would protect you. But the truth is, your family has a history with this power. It was meant for you both." "What do you mean?" Lily's voice trembled as she stepped closer to Alexander. "What does that mean for me?" "This is far bigger than I had imagined." His mother's voice cracked. "The darkness has always sought to claim your bloodline. They'll use you as a pawn against everything you hold dear." Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted violently. The dark figure, previously crumbling, surged back, renewed with rampaging energy. "You cannot keep her from her true destiny," it roared, making the very air tremble. Fear wrapped around Alexander like a vice. "We can stop this," he yelled, holding on to Lily tightly. "Together, we can fight it." But in that moment, something shocking took place. The pulsating light behind Lily flickered erratically. She closed her eyes, focusing intently. "No, I will not be used." Then, in a breath, the glow expanded, washing over the entire room. The shadows screamed, pulling back as if burned. And then it happened. In an instant, everything froze. The bright light imploded outwards, creating a massive shockwave that blasted outward. When the glow receded, it left Alexander gasping. There in the air, floating above the chaos, were fragments of photographs, images of his mother and Marissa side by side, smiling at a young Lily, laughing at birthday parties. Holding her close, he staggered back, eyes wide, as every playful moment morphed into frantic looks that screamed fear and pain. Marissa's face twisted, revealing a mix of anger and despair. "You don't understand. She was never meant to know." But that wasn't the shocking truth. In the flood of memories, Alexander saw something shift. A dark figure crept in the background, shadowy and foreboding, always lurking, waiting. A shadow that looked eerily similar to himself. "What?" he stammered, dread pooling in his stomach. "I don't—" "Alexander!" His mother's voice shattered the moment, pulling him from the terrible realization. "You must control your emotions. You need to choose." But he couldn't. How could he choose? The weight of the revelation hung heavy in the air, shifting everything he thought he knew. As the storm outside swirled with energy, the question burned in his heart. Who was truly meant to inherit this darkness? And what legacy had he been a part of from the beginning? Lily's eyes searched the chaos, and for a moment, the light flickered around her like a halo. The weight of the truth pressed against them, a tension that seemed to pulse through the air. Alexander's heart beat loudly in his chest. Every thump was a reminder of what was at stake. "I'll protect you," he vowed quietly, squeezing her hands. But the shadows whispered around them, twisting and curling like dark smoke, snaking toward Lily. Just as the dark figure lunged, however, a thunderous echo erupted from behind him. The door slammed open again, and through the light and shadows stepped an old man, hunched and weary, dressed in tattered clothes. His eyes sparkled with defiance, and the moment he entered the room, the atmosphere shifted. "I found you, Lily," he rasped, voice shaky but powerful. "Who?" But the old man's gaze was fixed on Lily, a sense of urgency swirling in his deep-set eyes. "You don't understand, child. You have to listen to me. You're part of something much bigger, so much bigger than you know." Lily stepped back, her expression confused yet curious. "What do you mean?" she asked, fear creeping in. "Your mother," he hesitated, looking toward Marissa, whose rage was palpable. "She's not who you think she is." He gestured wildly, trying to gather his thoughts. "She didn't just protect you. She imprisoned you. For her own greed. The truth lies in the past. A curse you must break." Marissa's eyes darkened, fury brewing. "Shut up!" she screamed. But the old man continued, undeterred. "You are the last of the luminaries, the very ones who can cut the darkness free," he explained, voice rising in urgency. "They seek you out. Marissa has been using you to gain power." It was as if a wave of clarity washed over Lily. But then confusion flooded her face. "What do you mean?" Suddenly, something shocking happened. The shadows contorted, twisting in a mesmerizing dance, and then shot toward Marissa. "No, I won't let this happen." She flailed her arms, but she was caught, pulled back as the darkness engulfed her completely. Shouts erupted in the room. "Mom!" Lily screamed, reaching for her. But the shadows only tightened their grip, dragging Marissa into the swirling void. "No! Help me!" Marissa's desperate cries echoed. But the darkness swallowed her whole, silencing her pleas. Everyone froze. Alexander's stomach dropped as the chaos settled into an eerie stillness. Lily's light flickered, battling against the oppressive shadows that now danced without their puppeteer. The air felt electric, a crackling tension lingering in the silence. Then the old man turned, looking deep into Lily's eyes. "You're more powerful than she ever was. You hold the key. Gulping, Lily jolted, realization dawning on her. No, I never wanted any of this. Understand, he urged, his voice softer now. This isn't a choice. It's your destiny. You must decide. A heavy silence hung, and suddenly Lily's face shifted from confusion to resolve. I don't want to be a weapon. I want to be free, she declared, determination pouring from her. And just like that, a blinding light exploded from her, radiating outward, pushing against the shadows like a tidal force. The darkness screamed, twisting and contorting in a desperate attempt to escape the brilliance. But as the blinding light surged, something extraordinary happened. The old man shifted, his form melding with the light. You can break this cycle, child. You can reclaim your future and your family. Family? She whispered. Just then, amidst the brilliance, a new figure emerged, one that made Alexander's breath hitch. It was a young girl, no more than 8, her eyes sparkling with the same luminescence as Lily's. Am I too late, Lily? She asked softly, voice melodic. The room exploded with shock. The girl resembled them both. There was no denying it. Alexander stumbled back. What is happening? I knew I would find you, the girl said, a smile lighting her face, stepping forward. You're not alone anymore. Lily gasped, realization washing over her like the flood of light that spun around them. Just as Alexander opened his mouth to speak, the world shifted again. The room began to tremble, shadows and light colliding in a whirlwind of energy. What did this mean? Just who was this girl? The weight of the moment bore down around them, and as the chaos erupted, the only question echoing through their minds was, who else had they lost along the way? Lily stood amidst the swirling chaos, her eyes locked onto the glowing figure of the young girl hovering before her. Emotions surged through her, uncertainty, confusion, but also an inkling of hope. Who are you? She asked, voice trembling. I'm your sister, the girl replied, the words echoing in the chaos like a lifeline. Our family isn't just shadows or light. We are both, and we can change everything together. The room trembled as the shadows seemed to recoil. Losing their grip on the air, Alexander felt a surge of relief combined with disbelief. A sister? He echoed, looking at Lily with wide eyes. Is this real? Lily blinked, her heart racing. What does this mean? Lily, you have to believe in your strength, their sister said, stepping closer, the light radiating warmth around her. This darkness, it can't claim you if you stand together. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed in the room. The shadows surged forward violently, seeking to reclaim their power. You think you can fight us? The dark figure snarled, forming a menacing silhouette. You're all fools. Oh no, Lily gasped, stepping back, caught between fear and determination. She felt a warmth in her chest growing, pulsing to the rhythm of her sister's light. Stand strong, Alexander shouted, moving to shield them both. Adrenaline surged through him. Their bond was their greatest weapon. We can do this, Lily. All of us, together. With that, Lily raised her hands, a fierce light exploding forth from within. The sheer brightness caught everyone off guard. I won't be afraid anymore, she declared, fierce power radiating from her, intertwining with her sister's glow. The dark figure hissed, the energy pushing against it, causing it to falter. No, this cannot be! The room shifted, the walls vibrating with the sheer intensity of their combined power. Shadows shrieked as light enveloped them, swallowing the darkness until it dissipated into nothingness. When the brilliance faded, a peaceful silence settled. A weight lifted, leaving only warm vibrations in the air. They stood there, hearts racing, surprised by what they had accomplished together. Lily turned slowly to her sister, tears glistening in her eyes. "This isn't the end, is it?" "No," her sister said, eyes sparkling. "It's just the beginning." With newfound strength, Lily looked around. She was no longer just an orphan. She was part of something meaningful, a family reborn. "Let's go," Alexander said, glancing at Lily and her sister. They nodded, stepping closer together, a united front, ready to embrace whatever came next. A doorway flickered open before them, revealing a path to a brighter future. Outside, the storm rumbled like an old friend, fading into the distance, leaving behind a radiant dawn. Filled with possibilities, together they stepped through the threshold, hearts aligned and hopeful. As they walked into the light, something urged them to look back, feeling as if the shadows were lifting. They didn't need to fear the past or the darkness anymore. They had each other. Now was the time for new adventures. But as they moved forward, the question remained in the air. What would they discover in this new world? Wait, before you go, you must subscribe now. You don't want to miss the next exclusive stories that are coming your way. Hit that like button now. It helps more than you know. And please, flood the comments section with your thoughts and reactions. What do you think will happen next? Let's engage. Finally, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to know how it ends. Don't wait another second. Show your support now.